News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
City News.
It's midday. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to City Prime News live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. My name is Eugenia Tenkran.
And I am Mina W.
Coming up over the next 30 minutes.
Speaker, those who were earning large sums of money for virtually no work done will be unhappy with the collapse of their lucrative business and will fight back. Their tentacles run deep. It is not in the interest of the telecoms multinationals and local business concerns for government to have this full visibility of their transactions.
Communications Minister Esla Owusu rejects accusations of corruption in the award of the Kelny GVG contract. Also coming up, victims of June 3 disaster want Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu to investigate donations meant for them.
Yes, it's our government to Nepal. This can say, sir, Nepal, it's our committee.
You want them investigated?
I should think so.
Like the special prosecutor to look into this?
If that will not be too long, it will be okay for us. Because some need immediate attention.
Also coming up, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers COPEC asks government to review downward taxes on petroleum products.
We are quite confident that if the government was blocking the illegal fuel trade, it will get a lot more revenue in order to be able to reduce the overburdening fuel taxes that we are all having to pay in the country.
And later on in the bulletin,
sometimes if it's raining, you have to park your car because you can't use the car to pass through the mud. Park the car and you walk. If you don't take time and you force the car will spoil it. You will spoil your car. You will spoil your car.
Tittegu residents cry over poor state of roads in their area. We bring you a report from there. All these and more on City Prime News, which is live across the country on our partner stations and also live around the world at citynewsroom.com.
City Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
In our first story, we take you to Parliament. The Communications Minister, Esla Owusu, has rejected accusations of corruptions and underhand dealings in the award of the Revenue Assurance Monitoring Contract to Kelny GVG. In a statement to Parliament, she indicated that the $178 million contract is the best deal the country can get for the kind of service that is being provided. She further stated that all the equipment for the execution of the contract will be owned by the country after a period of 5 years. The Kelny GVG deal has been the subject of public controversy since policy think tank Imani Africa raised red flags with the contract. Delivering a statement in Parliament in response to a summon from the Speaker, Esla Owusu said the deal further saved the country payments in excess of $1 million per month.
Contract. Fact. There is no 10-year contract worth $178 million. There is a 5-year, $89 million contract, which may be renewed subject to stated conditions being fulfilled. This is far better than the $150 million plus we paid for the past 5 years for very little value. Fact. Kelny GVG is not a foreign company. It is a joint venture between a Ghanaian company registered in 1995 with experience in electrical engineering, IT solutions and systems, in addition to other business interests, and GVG, which has 20 years experience in telecoms revenue assurance and IT solutions. They do have a website, and their office is in Laboni, not Osu or Kokumemle. Fact, several telecoms companies operating in Ghana have been fined and face challenges in some countries they operate in. That doesn't make them fraudulent or disreputable companies. GVG has also experienced some challenges. They currently operate in Rwanda and Uganda, among other countries, and have been chosen to establish the roaming and traffic exchange platform across Africa. This is the Africa Regional Traffic Exchange and Financial Settlement Platform, ARTIF, being implemented by the Smart Africa Initiative to harmonize call tariffs within network countries and promote the routing of inbound and outbound telecoms traffic locally on the continent, bypassing the international traffic wholesalers and reducing call charges. As stated by the Smart Africa Executive Director, Dr. Hamadoun Toure, and I quote, "By keeping Africa's traffic in Africa, the RTF will enhance the affordability."
That was the Communications Minister, Esla Owusu. She is currently addressing Parliament on the controversial Kenny GVG contract. The session is still ongoing and live as we speak. Minada Blue.
Yeah, so the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEG, is asking the government to review downward some of the taxes placed on petroleum products. They believe this will help cushion the consumer against rising prices of fuel on the market. Further to this, COPEG wants the government to institute stringent measures to curb illegal petroleum trade in the country. According to its Executive Secretary, Duncan Amwa, the annual loss of 1.9 billion cedis due to the illegal trade could be prevented to save the country some money to prevent increases in petroleum prices. Consumers could be paying at least 7% more at the pumps from tomorrow. This is because the cumulative increase in fuel prices between May and the middle of June. Now, speaking on the expected increase, Duncan Amwa says it will be prudent for government to intervene by way of a downward review of taxes on petroleum products.
It is also not surprising that we are where we are, but we have said that the government should stop the illegal work trade. If you lose 1.9 billion in 1 year, whereas a 2% reduction translates to about 40 million Ghana today. We are quite confident that if the government was blocking the illegal fuel trade, it will get a lot more revenue in order to be able to reduce the overburdening fuel taxes that we are all having to pay in the country. So, yes, world market prices are going up. We had a golden opportunity to hedge at the time that prices were low, around $40, $30, $50. But now they seem to hover above $65. Projections are that it could even go up to about 100. And so it won't be surprising if prices continue to escalate. But we are hoping that the government will put in some measures immediately to either arrest some of the taxes further. We have said that the special petroleum tax, although has been reviewed to 13%, if you do a repositioning of the special petroleum tax from ex-depot position now to ex-refinery, we are quite certain that the amount would also go down further and it would impact oil prices.
Duncan Amwa is Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEG. And the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joe Owusu, has observed that availability of offices for MPs has led to some of them reporting late for business. According to the Bakwai MP, some of his colleagues sit in the comfort of their offices during proceedings instead of showing up in the chamber. This attitude, he argues, does not portray a good picture of the legislature to the public. Now, speaking after some MPs raised concerns about poor attendance in the House, the first Deputy Speaker called for punctuality.
Sometimes I wonder whether the offices have helped us or not. When we didn't have offices, the only place we could be was at the cafeteria. And so we could always come in and I've observed since we had offices that people come in, sign in and go and sit at the offices without coming to participate in the business of the House. Very clearly, the number over 200 that is registered in the proceeding yesterday were not in this chamber.
You heard first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joe Owusu.
Moving on, private laboratories are cashing in on the indefinite strike embarked on by members of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists. Patients are bemoaning the high fees charged at these private facilities, which are currently operational. Many of them are unable to patronize the services of the private labs due to the high cost involved. Members of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists last Monday laid down their tools, demanding that the government address their salary anomalies after the implementation of the single spine salary structure some 6 years ago. As Citi News' Philip Nilate reports, the situation is affecting the finances of the patients.
Most private laboratory centers opposite the Ikolebu Teaching Hospital are cashing in as patients can no longer enjoy the discounted fees at the central laboratory because public laboratory scientists are on indefinite strike. Scores of patients have marched up at laboratories such as MDS Lancet, C&E Medicare, Medilab Ghana, Acumed Diagnostic Center, Dansuman Medical Laboratory Services Limited, Access Medical Laboratory Services Limited, among others. Some of the patients who are finding it very difficult to foot the bills at the private laboratories spoke to Citi News.
I came here to do scan, more than the one in the public. Very, very expensive. Yes, I'm worried.
Right now, what I'm going to do, I don't know the price unless I bring the blood, the sample for them, unless they'll tell me the price. Oh yeah, it's affecting me because if the central lab is supposed to be there, I'll get everything good, affordable. I will reduce costs. Secondly, I'll have some strength to relax. Because I just delivered and you are just imagine crossing road, something can just affect me. Oh, if they will come back today, we all like it. Because there are many patients over there who needs them. Yeah, many babies are there that they are supposed to do lab for. And some people have also done their labs. For instance, I did lab with them. But because they have gone on strike, I cannot get it. So I have to come outside and come and do it. And many people still are with them. Many people. So what about when they come and the samples is a spot? You cannot retrieve your money back. You cannot get the samples and just try to say that your baby is in need of urgency to save a life. And right now you can't do anything. What can you do? You have to come to the private to save your baby's life or to save anybody that you want the person to be alive. If whether it's expensive or it's not expensive, you have to do it.
It's not everybody that can afford the private fees. You understand? I mean, looking at the current circumstances, there are a lot of hardships. So I think when they are embarking on such strikes, they need to look at the situation, consider people and then be more humanitarian. It's not everyone who's privileged.
Central lab to come back to...
Obviously, because it's a nation. We're all serving a nation in all diverse ways. We need to sacrifice. Private people, government people. I think currently a lot of people don't really have the love of the country at hand. We, the current generation, do we have the same feeling? Everything is money, money, money. It shouldn't be.
They say, insurance be cover mommy, but private is 550.
If that place was functional, my health insurance would have covered the bill. But this is a private facility, so I have to make a cash payment of 550 Ghana cedis. My child has sickle cell, so there are some lab tests to be done. The strike is really worrisome, and if they could return to work immediately, even today, I'll be happy. I understand they are trying to make a point to government, but they should consider us too. Look at the queue here. I'll also plead with government to as soon as possible meet their demands so they can return to work. In my case, because my child has sickle cell, there are so many lab tests to do.
Philip Nilate filed that report. Meanwhile, the medical laboratory scientists are hopeful today's meeting with the Ministry of Health will bring closure to their strike. This is the third day association members are meeting with the ministry to find a solution to their concerns. Speaking to Citi News, the public relations officer of the association, Dennis Edu-Jesi, said they will assess the memorandum of understanding and determine the next line of action.
Because of the misunderstanding that we had concerning the content of the MOU, we had to leave till we met the minister. Fortunately, in the evening, the minister got back to us via email with the version of the MOU for us to look at and consider. We have reviewed it,
And this morning we'll be getting to speak to the minister and see if we can bring finality on the matter. When we have finished with the roadmap, we should see how best whatever we are going to get will contribute to the improved service delivery as we have requested. If we go and get the agreement as we had indicated on Monday, and we get the MOU signed where we can hold people responsible for the actions and whatever we have indicated in the document, we are likely to speak back to our people and probably see the way forward. And it's our hope that we will come back and talk positively on the way forward concerning the strike.
Dennis Sedu Jesse is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists.
Also, the Public Relations Officer of the Accra Regional Police Command, DSP Fiatingi, says they will not hesitate in charging Reginald Sichi Brown, the open UGMC noun campaigner, if the investigations into his conduct yesterday indicts him. The final year pharmacy student of the University of Ghana is accused of breaching the security of the First Lady while she was delivering a speech to register his displeasure about the continuous closure of the university's medical center. In an interview with City News, DSP Fiatingi says the police will seek to apply the law in all circumstances regardless.
We are still investigating him properly to find out the intent for what he did. He has been granted bail to report later for police to continue with the investigation. This was a gentleman with a placard. As to whether it was just a mere placard, that was for us to investigate further. He also had with him a bag. What was contained in the bag is something that we do not know of. So if such a person is walking directly towards the First Lady of the Republic and the police refuses to act and the unfortunate happens, how are we going to see the police? To me, I think the police on the ground exhibited high professionalism. Usually when somebody commits an offense of this nature, even in the course of our investigation, several charges may come up. And based on what we are doing, because we have to even go back to the scene, do a reconstruction of the whole thing, search him and all that. So after everything, if there are reasons to believe that had other intention apart from what we all saw from the camera.
That was a Public Relations Officer of the Accra Regional Police Command, DSP Fiatingi. Meanwhile, the engineer for the construction of the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit of the Kolebu Children's Ward under the Rebecca Akufo-Addo Foundation says the facility will cost $1.75 million. According to him, this will cover only the expenses on the building infrastructure and will exclude equipment and machines that will be subsequently installed. Speaking on the sideline of the sword cutting ceremony, the engineer Stephen Corrett says the facility will be completed in a period of 6 months if the weather is favorable.
Moving on, the Ghana Police Service says it has not received any formal complaint from the Ghana Journalists Association, the GJA, requesting police protection for journalist Anas Arimiyao Anas. According to the GJA, it has picked up information about threats received by Anas following his upcoming expose on the Ghana Football Association. But the Director General, Police Affairs, Public Affairs at the Police Service, ACP David Eklu, said they expect the GJA or Anas himself to file a formal complaint before they can act. Meanwhile, President of the GJA, Afil Money, says the police should be proactive in such cases.
Conversation with this director of CID, Ms. Tinwa Arudankwa, who also raised the issue of lodging formal complaints to the police. But at the same time, we don't think we need to teach the police proactive policing instead of reactive policing. So the least we expect from the police in such circumstances is for them to act with urgent promptitude because Anas's life is at stake. There have been numerous instances, and little examples we can cite, where the police have picked on signals, texts provided by the media to act. So in such an instance, we expect the police not to waste any time, but to extend the most effective cover of protection.
Afil Money is president of the Ghana Journalists Association. This is City Prime News live from our studios here at Adabraka in Accra. Still to come, victims of June 3 disaster want Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu to investigate donations meant for them.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. June 3, 2015 remains for many Ghanaians a day of national disaster. Fire and flood killed more than 150 citizens in a most horrifying manner. 3 years on, memories of the disaster remain fresh in the minds of its survivors. Not only the trauma haunts these survivors, some say despite government's claims of releasing funds to support them, they have been rendered jobless, homeless and hungry. City News' Caleb Kuda was at the press conference organized by survivors of the incident. They want the special prosecutor to investigate funds reported to have been released or raised for their upkeep.
The only thing they told us was, when Mr. Okubanofe was in charge, we've been there 3 years down the line, we've been there over 100 times.
When you go there, what are you told?
At times we are sacked from the place. We are sacked, driven away like goats. I'm telling you the truth. And let anybody there come and challenge me. I'm ready, ever ready to put my life on the line to defend myself. That is the truth. We have not received anything from AMA. Most of the kids in school are now at home. Our business, the little money that we were using, everything got burnt, personal belongings, and the whole house also was razed down by fire. So we want the government to investigate those who were responsible, those who were handling the money. We want to know.
Prosecutor?
I don't know if that is possible. How the monies were dispersed. How those monies were dispersed. Because some of our survivors, we need immediate medical attention. Why 3 years down the line, why have some of the survivors not been compensated?
Dr. Zanetta Rollins was here.
He came here, he took pictures, collected contact numbers, data, some questionnaire, and that is the end. That is the end. We've been to the office, we have the contact. You call, no response from her outfit.
Now, residents of Tittegu in the Greater Accra region are lamenting over the poor state of roads in their community. According to them, the deplorable nature of the roads is having a negative effect on their businesses, especially during rainy seasons. Now, the residents say the construction of the roads was effected to have been completed in 2016, but work is yet to begin. Now, City News' Michael Gbodo visited the area and filed this report.
If you're a frequent user of public transport along the Malam-Kaswa Highway, one of the bus stops you might be familiar with is Tittegu Junction. Tittegu is actually a community along the stretch. When you branch into the community of the highway, you are greeted by the sight of very beautiful buildings. If you're a frequent user of public transport along the Malam-Kaswa Highway, one of the bus stops you might be familiar with is Tittegu Junction. Tittegu is actually a community along the stretch. When you branch into the community of the highway, you are greeted by the sight of very beautiful buildings and a tarred road. But don't be deceived, the tarred road only leads to a point. The rest of the road is bad, very bad, filled with potholes that make the road look like the local Owari game. At some points, the holes are deeper, filled with muddy, stagnant water. I presume might have accumulated from the rains a few days ago. Let's head into the community and see what we could find. So Stephen is a work setting, a welder's shop. Tell me, Steve, so how does the nature of the road affect your business?
You can see that's a stagnant weather, and due to the fact that there are no drainage systems, when they come, this one, if it's to overflow, it bounce, it's coming right here.
Right into your shop?
That means they should halt, which we can't work. We have to wait till it's dried up before we can work. The nature of the job we do, we go with electricity. And when there is water, you can't work. Okay. You might be electrified already.
Mostly when it rains, we just lock the shop and then we'll be enjoying ourselves with sleeping.
Wow.
But very bad. It's very, very bad.
That means you'll be losing money.
We are losing a lot when it comes to rain season. We are losing a lot. So we really need the drainage system to be put in place. That will help. Maybe to enhance business. Even when it rains, people still keep coming.
In fact, the road, this our road is very bad. It's very bad. Potholes and mud. It's very muddy. It's rainy season. You can't even get access or get a place to pass. Sometimes if it's raining, you have to park your car because you can't pass. You can't use the car to pass through this thing, the mud.
So after spending time in the community, I managed to locate Maonyega Atupa, who is the unit committee chairman for the area. So tell me, what efforts have you made to have the concerns with regards to the road addressed?
So many efforts has been made. We collaborated with the opinion leaders and the chiefs of the community. We went to the assembly several times, urban roads and feeder roads sometimes. But I mean, less has been done. Actually, I would say from the main junction up to the old town has been awarded to a contractor. He came to start the work somewhere around 2015, 2016. As at now that we are speaking, the work is not completed. He just came to put bitumen on the road and is still, I mean, getting spoiled.
Citi News' Michael Ogbodu filed that report.
It is time now for sports, and Fentu Tahir joins us in the studio. Good afternoon, Fentu.
Good afternoon, Eugenia. Let's speaking from Real Madrid, where manager Zinedine Zidane says he's stepping down as Real Madrid boss just 5 days after leading them to a third straight Champions League triumph, claiming the club needs a different voice. Zidane told a news conference that everything changes and that's why he's leaving. He leaves having guided the Spanish club to 3 successive Champions League titles and 1 La Liga success since taking over in January 2016. Zidane has also said he intends not to manage any club anytime soon. Let's come back home. Black Stars head coach Kwesi Appiah is giving thumbs up to Emmanuel Boateng and Kwesi Ochre on their debut performances for the team in Wednesday's international friendly win against Japan. The 2 players featured in a 2-0 victory, but while Ochre had a relatively quiet game, Boateng's impact was more concrete as he scored a penalty in the second half. Nonetheless, Kwesi Appiah says he's happy with what he saw from the 2 players.
I think Emmanuel Boateng had a lot of time, to prove what he can do. In the case of Kwesi Ochre, he didn't have much time, but what you want to see out of a player, he can be in the team for 5 or 10 minutes, and as a coach, you should be able to know whether he's ready for your team now. But on the whole, I think the 2 of them did well, especially Emmanuel Boateng.
Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah there. Let's stick with the Black Stars team. The goalkeeper Richard Ofori, he says the improvements in his performances for the team are down to some good counsel from people like former national goalkeeper Richard Olele Kensing. Ofori has risen from backup keeper to the Black Stars #1 after also cementing the first choice role at his South African club Maritzburg United. And the former Wild Star shortstopper has credited Olele Kensing for his good form.
Every player's dream is to play for the senior national team, which is every young player. The dream is to play for the senior national team. And then I'm there, and then I have top players, those who have played for the senior national team for a very long time, and then they are guiding the team. So they always advise us how Black Star is. If you don't shape yourself very well, if you don't psych yourself very well, because you need to psych yourself 100% before you go to the game. Sometimes in the game of football, anything can happen. You can psych yourself, you can do whatever you want to do, but sometimes mistake will come. That's the human nature. Olele used to tell me, whether you made a mistake, whether every situation you find yourself in a game, you never give up. So I always keep that in mind. Never give up.
That's Richard Ofori, Black Stars goalkeeper there. Let's stick with some Black Stars players still, because Turkish Giants Besiktas have made a contract offer to Ghana international Daniel Opare, the 27-year-old who will become a free agent on June 30 when his contract with German side Augsburg expires. Has not played first team football since the beginning of this year, having been ostracized by the German club after a disagreement with the board. According to reports in Turkey, Opare, who spent the second half of the 2014-15 season on loan at Besiktas from Porto, has been listed as a prime target for the Black Eagles, who have offered him a 3-year deal. An English Championship side Middlesbrough are in talks with Ghana international Albert Adomah of a possible move. The 30-year-old has surprisingly been identified as one of the players Villa manager Steve Bruce wants to offload despite his remarkable form last season. And that's the latest in sports.
Thank you very much, Fenchu. And on that note, we end today's edition of Citi Prime News, which came to you live from our studios here at Adabraka in Accra. For more news updates, please download the Citi News app from Google Play Store. Also visit citinewsroom.com. My name is Eugenia Tankran. I was here with
Mina W.
Have a good afternoon.
Citi News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302 976 732 and get interactive on Facebook, Citi 97.3 FM, and Twitter at Citi973.
It's the Citi Countdown
with Jessica. Citi Countdown. Hottest songs. New music. Every Friday.